Welcome everybody, this is Kim with Stones Hill Homestead, and I know this doesn't look very appetizing right at the moment, but I am starting some ham in my crock pot to cook while I'm working, and we are going to be canning up some meals in a jar with split pea soup and I believe Great Northern beans. So come along, join me, and look forward to what this next couple days has in store for us. Okay, so here we go. I've already showed you the beginning of my ham that I cooked. I'm going to be adding 3 pounds of cannelli beans or white kidney beans to this stock pot. I have soaked them overnight while I was at work, so I've been up all night. I've slept a little bit. Now I'm going to get started. I'm going to be adding water. I need to cover these beans. They've already been rinsed, sorted, everything taken out, and now I need to get these beans covered with water. I'm going to add some of my ham broth from me cooking just to flavor these beans a little bit, but most of it will be water. So we're going to add some water and get things going. And there is 2 quarts, but because I am tripling this recipe, that is 3 pounds of beans in there, I need to add 1 more quart of fluid. I am going to choose to use my ham broth. And here I'm adding my ham stock. Now you can add chicken broth, you can add just water. I just want to add a little bit of extra flavor to this, and it will be just fine. I'm not adding that much for the recipe to adjust anything. Grab my Whetstone woodenware here. I'm going to grab that and give this all a stir. And I'm going to bring this up to a nice simmer while I get all the vegetables chopped up. And while this is simmering, we need to add 6.5 tablespoons of minced garlic. And I have plenty of fresh garlic from the garden, but I need to sort it yet, and I need to use up what is in the fridge from this last little bit that I have. So I'm just going to use my store-bought minced garlic. Get all of that out of the container. So I've added just enough water to release all that from the sides, and I'm just going to add that right there. And that makes it nice. I can use up what's in the fridge. Every bit counts. And that is what we're taking part in this month of August, is the Every Bit Counts Challenge. And Jessica from 3 Rivers Homestead is hosting us. She has done this for many years. This is my 2nd year, and I always am amazed at the things that I see that people have put up during the month of August. It's very inspiring to me. And now I need to cut up some ham. And like I said, I have cooked this ham up. I'm taking off all the fat. It's already pretty tender here, so it's going to be mostly falling apart, but I need to cut it up into smaller pieces for the soup that I'm making. And I'm not putting a lot of ham. into this recipe. It only calls for 1 cup, I believe, for 1 recipe. And so I'm just going to cut enough up. It's going to be just a nice flavoring for this recipe. Get this fat off of here. And as you can see, it is just falling apart. And for what I'm using it for, this is perfect. I let this cook last night while I was at work, and that made it very good. I can come home, sleep a little bit, and then I can start canning right away today. I don't have very much time when I am off. I only have a few days off, and then I'm back at it. So as you can see, this is going to be some shredded ham. There's not going to be cubes in it. It's just going to be very small little pieces, mainly for taste, for flavor, for seasoning. They say that you cannot can ham, certain pork products, and because of the curing process. I've done some pork loin that I've canned, but of course it was uncured. Because of the nitrates. I don't know a lot about it. I just know what I know, and this is what I've done my whole life. So I'm just continuing to follow my old practices, and yeah, things change. We know that things change and they find out more things, but I've felt pretty confident all the years that I've canned that this is just fine to do this. And I believe the Ball Book of Canning, the Ball Complete in there, they even say that you can add ham to split pea soup and to Great Northern bean soup. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just making sure there's no pieces of fat in this. As you can see, it's very shredded. It looks very good. So now I'm just getting my celery ready here. I'll be adding that to the soups that I am making. I'm just gonna get these in smaller pieces, so when I dice them, well, there we go. They're a little bit smaller pieces, and they all cook down nicely. I will have to admit, I don't like celery to eat it. Very seldom. I'm not fond of the strings or the texture of it, but I've been eating more just because I know it's healthy for me, and that's just the way it is. I'm learning to like it more, but I do love it in my cooking. And it's, carrots, onions, celery. It's just one of those things that you need for delicious tasting soups, especially for ham and bean soup. The other one that I am also canning and getting on the shelf for this Every Bits Counts challenge is split pea and ham soup. That is one of our favorites. My husband, being what he does, he has noticed a huge increase in the food out on the road, and rather than always have to eating at a restaurant, he and I were talking about, what could we do to help get that cost down a little bit. And I said, well, I've been making, these meals in a jar, and we thought, well, that would be great for him to take in the semi. So we are going to can up some pints of these soups for him and I for work, as well as for home when in the winter we'll have some nice quick meals. So I'm just getting the ends cut on the celery, and I'll get these diced up. Then I'll get carrots cut up here, and then we will get these items added into the soup, let them cook, and then we'll be able to start jarring them. My jars are already in the dishwasher. They're hot, they're ready to go. I do always wash my jars no matter what before I can, just so that I know they're clean. They store in the basement. I store them in Rubbermaid tubs, but I've just always been in the habit of cleaning them or washing them beforehand. And since I was getting ready to run the dishwasher, I just put them all in there so they are ready. So I'm gonna get these finished chopped up here, and then I'll be back. So this says about 1 large onion for this recipe. But since I'm tripling it, I'm going to add 2. Okay, so here is the ham and bean soup. You can see I've got my beans, everything's cooked nice, it's hot. I've got my hot jars over here. They are nice and clean. And I'm going to start jarring up the solids. I'm going to reserve the broth till the very end. So I've got this slotted spoon, and there again, I just want the solids. I don't want the liquid at this point, because I want to make sure, one, I have the right amount in the jars. It says 3/4 full. So right here, and then I'm going to add liquid. Oh, here, let's see if I can get it there. And then I will add liquid to an inch headspace. These jars will be used for us for meals on the shelf, ready to go in the truck or for me at work. And I just love ham and bean soup. And my husband does too. So I'm gonna get these jarred up and I'll be back. So here you see I've added the liquid. I'm going to debubble, and there's a couple jars I'm going to have to remove some just because it's a little bit too full. I need an inch headspace. You can add salt and pepper to your liking. That's up to you. I will be adding a little bit of Redmond's real salt to this. can see my inch. We're good. We'll need to take some solids out of this one right here. So I'm gonna grab a spoon here real quick. I don't want that one for the lid to buckle. There we go. That one was a little bit too full. I'm gonna grab a little bit of this as well. There we go. Got my inch. Now the next thing we need to do is clean off those rims. Because the ham broth or the broth, we just don't want those rims messy. We want to have a good seal. And this is also a great time to check those rims to make sure there's no cracks. And you're gonna make sure that everything's good. Once I get these all cleaned, I will put on the lids. Here we go. I'm gonna quickly add my salt now. Again, I use Redmond's real salt. It says a half a teaspoon of salt per pint. I'm a little bit leery of that because there is ham in this. So I'm only gonna add a quarter of a teaspoon per pint. And since I'm pressure canning, it doesn't really matter. It's just all for flavor at this point. But I just think a half a teaspoon is plenty for a pint. And so I backed it off to a quarter teaspoon. I can always salt it when I open it up. You can also add pepper as well. I did not add any pepper to this. Again, we'll do that when we open it up. So now we're gonna lid these jars. I'm gonna get my magnet here. And I'm going to put these on. The one thing you always want to make sure that you do is when you grab your rings, and I'm going to show you that right now, is get it started finger tight. You don't want it any tighter than finger tight. Otherwise, your jar lid could buckle and not seal. There we go, finger tight. I'm gonna finish these up and then I'll bring you back for the canning process. So here I am with my All-American pressure canner. The first thing I need to do is get 2 to 3 inches of water in the bottom of this. Follow your canner's instructions on how much water to put in. And I also want to make sure that this is on and it's getting up to temperature. The reason I want to make sure that I'm doing that is because I do not want to thermoshock my jars and have a jar break on me. We've worked too hard for this, so I just want to make sure that water is as hot as what these jars are going in. So I'm going to continue over here putting the rings on these jars. And then I will get these in the canner, get them started, and get the processing to begin. And I will start making my next recipe. And this may take a little bit. I just want this to get a little bit hotter beforehand. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to pour some vinegar in that water. The reason you do this, it's white vinegar. You're going to pour that white vinegar in there is so that you don't get that white film from the mineral deposits from your water. Many waters, doesn't matter, well water, whatever, purified, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Just remember that. add vinegar. It'll save you a ton of work. So I'm bringing this up to temperature. The next thing I need to do is put oil around the top of this canner. This canner, as many of you know, all American canners do not have that gasket. This is a it just doesn't have a gasketless pressure canner. And it requires me to take my olive oil, and I'm going to use my fingers, and I'm going to go around this bevel. And what this does is it creates the seal on this canner so that one, the lid doesn't stick when I take it off, and it allows it to build pressure the way it's supposed to. So the bevel is ready. The water I can see is starting to boil. It's got some, it does have some bubbles coming up down here in the water. I can see that happening. So I know it's getting hot enough. So now I'm just gonna set these jars in here. And I think I have a jar lifter so that I don't burn my hands, because the jar is already pretty warm. So I'm going to set these down in here, and I think I can get 8 pints in here. I may have, yes, I'm pretty sure I can get 8 pints in here. And if I need more, oh, no, 8 pints. This is my smaller canner. My other one, I can get, I believe, 19 pints in. I can double decker when I'm canning. But as many of you know, I broke my back 1.5 years ago, and I still cannot lift that by myself. So I need my hubby home to do that heavy work for me. So I'm going to make sure that these jars aren't up against one another. I want to make sure that they have some room to do their business in here. I don't want them up against one another. So that is all ready to go. Everything is finger tight. There we go. Everything is finger tight. The vinegar is in. Now we're going to add that lid. With the All-American pressure canner, I'm going to spin you around here a little bit. There is a arrow on here. Let's let me get it set. There you go. There's an arrow right here, and there's this little divot right here. When I get this on and ready, I'm going to twist it so that this little hook here hooks under. I make sure these two are matched. Now, it's not a scientific tool, but I will say the Tupperware citrus peeler is perfect for getting this lid level. I have tried eyeing it. However, my eyes just don't work like they used to. But I can get this level with this wonderful citrus peeler. And then I lean down and I do look at this gap right here. There's a little bit of a gap right here, and I'm just gonna make sure that it's setting really nice. Now I see that this back here is a little bit down. There we go. Now I've got this even level lid. The next thing, we're gonna take these wing nuts, and I'm gonna raise you up a little bit. There we go. So you can see me doing this. There we go. I'm gonna add these wing nuts, and I'm gonna do them across from one another. And I always tighten across. You always wanna make sure you do that. We're gonna tighten these down. The last ones are right here. There you go. Now I'm going to go back to the very first ones, and I'm going to tighten these again. Make sure everything is snug. Everything is snug. That lid is level. It looks great. The next thing we need to do is wait for steam to come out of here. It will vent for 10 minutes once it starts. Then I will add my 10-pound weight for my area, my elevation. I will add the 10-pound weight. What's nice about All-American, it's one weight. It has a 5, 10, and 15 option. It is an investment. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is an investment, but it was a good investment for us. It makes it very, there's just some other things with the other canners that I just didn't like. And it's not that I don't think they're great. They are. I just, for me personally, the All-American was my choice. Anyway, so once this vents for 10 minutes, then I'll add the weight. I'll bring the pressure up to 10 pounds and I will can pints of this ham and bean soup for 75 minutes. And then I'll let it come back down to pressure, to no pressure, back to 0. And after that's all done, then we'll unload and reload with the next batch. I know it's hard to see, but this is steaming and we're gonna start the timer now for 10 minutes. And it will vent for 10 minutes. So we are at the 10 minutes. My timer went off. I'm gonna grab my 10-pound side and I'm gonna put that on. I will wait till this pressure comes up to 10 pounds and then I will start timing once it's up to 10 pounds and the process will be 75 minutes for pint. Okay, this is starting to bobble. This is up to 10 pounds of pressure. I am going to set my timer for 75 minutes. So that's an hour and 15 minutes. And I will see you when we're done. So this came down to 0 and I'm going to slip off the weight and then I'm going to leave it set. There's a little bit of air escaping. I'm gonna leave that set for a while just to make sure that all the pressure has escaped. And again, we're just trying to make sure that we don't have jars crack or siphon. Okay, so I believe we've let this set long enough and we're gonna unscrew these using the wing nuts across from one another. We always do across. When you open it, you wanna, this canner, you're gonna spin and you're gonna turn it away from you. So you're gonna lift it up away from you so the steam does not get into your face. Set the lid away. And there again, you can see these are in there. We're gonna let them cool a little bit more. I can still see that they're boiling. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but I think this one right here, you can still see a little bit of boiling bubbles coming out. And that's very normal. And I'm going to start removing these jars. You can leave them set for 4 or 5 minutes. That's fine. One thing I want to remind you of, never leave your canner set overnight and not remove them from the pressure canner. Make sure the pressure has come down, you've removed the weight, you've taken off the lid. You do not want your jar sitting inside a closed pressure canner overnight. It can sour whatever you have. So, and I just want you to know that, because not everybody knows that that can happen. It can. Does it happen very often? Have I had it happen once? Yes, I have. And I was unsure why my bone broth was soured. It had a bitey, sour taste, and I couldn't figure out. So I did some phone calling, trying to find out what happened, and I got a hold of somebody that knew. And this was, again, long before I used YouTube videos to figure it out. But it can sour your broth, your food, and it has a bad taste. It's not spoiled, it's just soured taste. It's vinegary tasting. I don't know how to explain the taste. But I did end up losing about 3 quarts from that experience. Luckily, not all of them were bad, but I didn't know if they were bad though until I opened them. And that batch had, of the 7 quarts, 3 of them were not any good. So just to caution you with that. So here you go. I'm going to move you over here. You can see these are now going to set for 24 hours without being disturbed. And they're just going to do their thing. In the morning tomorrow, I will take the rings off. After 24 hours, I will make sure that they've all sealed in that time. If they don't seal, that's my chance to recan them or just put them in the fridge. I usually just, if anything does not seal, I put in the fridge unless I've had a bad batch of lids, which again, with the pandemic and the cheaper quality lids, I have had that. These are ball lids, and I am using, when these came in a brand new case of jars, and then I have 4 jar lids that I'm using the rest of the day. So I'm gonna get the next canner load started and heated up. So here I am unloading the last of the ham and bean soup from the last canner of another project, and I ran these last jars with that other canner load. We ended up with 12 pints of ham and bean soup and an additional 2 quarts that I filled so that we would have a larger meal if we needed a larger batch. I just want to thank each and every one of you for joining us in this season of canning and taking part in the Every Bit Counts challenge hosted by Three Rivers Homestead. Jessica has really been a great host for this. And here I am just showing you the ham and bean soup up close. We want you to know that we value each and every one of you and appreciate like and subscribes. And we just want you to have a great day. And as always, be blessed and laugh as much as you breathe. Thank you so much and have a great day.